Alrighty, so this is a quick video response to the discussion board that you finished on Thursday, where we were thinking about the claims that we're going to make in our persuasive research essay and the assumptions that make those claims work, and then the reasons behind what we're saying. So when we're thinking about claims and assumptions, a lot of us were right on point with this. And a lot of us, what I mean by that is that a lot of us were thinking about our claims, and then we were thinking about the assumptions, the values that it takes to make those claims work. So like if I'm making a claim that we should plant trees because it helps the environment, the assumption behind that is that it's a good thing to help the environment, right? And another one. So let's say that I make a claim, you shouldn't kick puppies because it makes them sad. So the assumption behind that is that it's bad to make puppies feel sad. Um, so if a claim is half of the circle, the assumption is the value that it takes to like complete the circle, like to make that claim make sense. Like if I think that it's a good thing to make puppies feel sad, then I'm not going to buy when someone says, well, you shouldn't kick puppies because that will make them feel sad. I'd say, yeah, no, you should kick puppies because it will make them feel sad. That's a good thing. It's what we all want, right? So obviously we don't want that. I've spent the weekend taking care of dogs, so been thinking about that. So the reason that we are taking a look at my ridiculous house is that we're going to think about a claim that someone can make about my house. We're going to think about the assumption that would underlie that claim, and then we're going to think about why it's important to understand the assumption that underlies claims so we can engage with the claims. So some of you know this, some of you don't. I'm getting married in the next month. It's about 3 weeks away. Which is exciting. And it means a lot of moving and putting a bunch of stuff that wasn't in the house into the house. And so one of the problems we've run into while moving is that my fiance has a ridiculous amount of books, and I also have a ridiculous amount of books. This bookshelf that's behind me is pretty much full with books, and this is one of 6. So you can see why maybe somebody might think that this is an excessive amount of books. I would disagree. But let's say that someone's trying to persuade me. They are concerned for my safety. Like, what if the bookshelf falls down on me and her? It'd be really sad. So let's say that someone's trying to persuade me about the amount of books that we have. And they say, well, you should get rid of those books, or you should not buy so many books. This is their claim. Because those books are a waste of space. The assumption that's there is that we shouldn't do something if it has the potential to waste space. Or the assumption is that we should make the most efficient use of space possible. And so here's why that's important, because a lot of us might be able to identify that assumption pretty easily, but then sometimes we don't know what to do with that, like where to go with that knowledge of, okay, here's the assumption that makes this claim work. Because it makes sense for someone to say, you should get rid of those books because they take up so much space, if the assumption is that it's bad for things to take up a lot of space. So the reason that it's a good thing to understand that assumption is that I can then push back at that. I can push back against that in a number of different ways. I could say, hold on, even if the space that is taken up by these books is taken up by them, and it has there's some kind of inefficiency there. Like, let's say that my books are not the most efficiently arranged. You can see they're not. I could still make an argument, though, that the use value that I get out of these books, that I can teach people in the various ways that I teach, and I can read them and enjoy them. My fiance can also read all the books that I have and enjoy them. I can make an argument that even though these books take up space, their usefulness makes up for the fact that they're taking up space in my apartment. So I could say that the use value of these books is more important, or it's a bigger deal than the amount of space that they take up. So I can engage with that assumption that way. I could also engage with that assumption by finding common ground with the person who is making an argument against me. So I could find common ground with them and say, oh yeah, you're right that these books take up a lot of space. Maybe I could organize them differently. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I should get rid of the books. Maybe it means that I can organize them differently. So maybe there's another solution that also is in line with that value. So there are many different ways that you could engage with your audience's values. But that's what you want to think about. You want to think about, what is your audience going to be valuing? What are they going to be assuming? And does your claim line up with the kinds of things that your audience would assume? So that you can either, based on those assumptions, find common ground with your audience, or you can work intentionally with those assumptions to show your audience, like, hey, maybe you need to adjust this this way of valuing, this way of thinking that you have, in light of whatever evidence I'm going to present to you. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions about claims, reasons, or even just as you move through the research process, I'm available to you to talk about the annotated bibliography that's coming up and our paper plan that's going to be due on Thursday. Anything that you need related to class, you just let me know and we'll talk. See you later, guys.